Hey, fellow GFHLers, it's Mike here, the co-commissioner of the league, and kind of just wanted to start doing a first of a few videos anyway. Hopefully, showcasing the league a little bit here, talking about what's been happening with the league, some of the things that have been going on in the league, whether it be transactions, trades, signings, teams that are hot, teams that are not. Going through some of the rosters here. So, as you can tell, I've got all the pages up here. All the main pages from our website. And first off, if you go to our homepage here, you'll see that the Los Angeles Kings won the Cassandra Cup last year. Hard fought win for Tom and his Kings. So, again, congratulations on that, Tom. As it says here, the second cup in 3 years. So, I mean, that's definitely impressive. I mean, that for a league that's never had a back-to-back champion in its existence, and I believe we're about 25 years in to this league. That's very impressive. So, again, congratulations, Tom, on that. We'll see if we can take you down this year and prevent you from repeating. But again, just wanted to make a video here just to kind of show you guys the league, whether it be for new people, maybe catching this and wanting to jump into to a very deep keeper fantasy league that's been going on for a long time now, or for the guys that have been in the league for a while that just maybe want something new, right? So I know I think I did a draft review video last year, and we are going to hopefully do a few more of these. I don't really have any criteria here per se. Just wanted to touch base on a few of the trades that have happened. Maybe go over some of the draft picks. Maybe do a little bit of a draft review from the summer. But mostly right now we're 2 weeks into the season. Standings have been updated, so without further ado, I will jump right in here. So, first thing I wanted to do was obviously check out the updated 2024-25 standings. 2 weeks in, I just finished updating this tonight, so everything should be good. If you guys have any questions or any issues with your records, in terms of whether they might be incorrect, please let myself or Ed know. We can fix it up as quickly as possible for you. As you can see, we've got 4 divisions here. The divisions don't matter too much in terms of playoffs. It's more about the East and West conferences. Top 9 in each conference make it to the GFHL playoffs. And as you can see, all of this is color coded. So you've got 3 groups of 3, and then how you guys generally know how it works. But for a couple of the new guys who might not realize, it's basically a head-to-head between your group, and then the winner of your group moves on, and then there is a wild card for the highest non-group winner in the conference moves on to the conference semifinals. Myself, I am Edmonton, and I think I lost to Tom and his Kings in the West semifinals last year. So very difficult league to win, like we've been talking about. And right now Utah is the only team in the league with an unblemished record after 2 weeks. 6-0. Gary and his Utah Hockey Club. Not too sure if Gary wants them to be named anything or just likes the Utah Hockey Club, but maybe he can comment on that. But yeah, 6-0 start. He's been hot right off the gate. Nashville and Calgary also undefeated in the West, 5-0-1, and then you've got the defending champs, the Kings, here at 5-1. Edmonton and Seattle are off to some decent starts here at 4-2, and then you've got the only winless team in the league, unfortunately, is our newest GM, Tim, who, from all accounts, is really enjoying himself in this league, and I'm glad to hear it. I think he's going to be a great addition to our league. He's already made some moves today, made his first trade, which we'll go over. And right now he's off to a rough start, though. The guys have given him a tough welcome to the league at 0-6, but he does have a young roster to build for the future with. In the East, we've got the Buffalo Sabres up at top, 4-1-1, 9 points, followed by the Islanders, 4-2. Greg and his Isles off to a decent start this year after making a big trade for Vasilevsky in the offseason. And then you've got a bunch of teams bunched up here in the middle of the pack. So it's going to be a fight for the Eastern Conference. It's going to be a fight for both conferences. I think there's a little more parity in the East versus the West, where you've got some real powerhouse teams in the West, and it's going to be tough for some of these other teams to compete. Basically, again, if you're new, if you're sitting here watching this, not quite sure how it works, you play everybody in your conference once, and then the rest of your schedule is made up from a few of the conference or teams from the other conference. So let's just dive right in here. I'm going to pull up the office pool standings, which gives us a rundown overall of how each team's doing from 1 to 32. If you don't know, you're not aware, you can claim your team. You just have to, I believe, there's a button where you can click on it. Might be right here. Yeah, claim team. So Jason, if you want to claim your team, you can put a logo up here. Jacob, if you want to claim Buffalo, you can do the same thing. Just kind of, you can put your little personal stamp on what's going on here. But anyway, that's not really that important. What's most important is looking into each team here. Again, you've got a bunch. I don't know if you guys realize you've got a bunch of options up here, and I might go through a couple of them tonight just to show you guys some of the stuff you can do. It's pretty cool what you can do with office pools. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Brent from Tampa Bay again. Brent paid for the office pools this year. His team is sitting in 12th right now. And he is he's a team that could be on the rise. He recently made a trade as well, which we'll go over. And again, just wanted to thank Brent for stepping up. Like I said, I put the post out there on Facebook, and I think he responded within about 10 minutes and said, he would love to pay for it this year. So Brent is off the hit list. Won't be bugging him for any money for quite some time. But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, it's obviously it's a unique league with our own point system, so it does lend itself to some interesting stuff that goes on here. Obviously, you can sort it by whatever column you want. Last week you can sort by last week's results, monthly results. Points as yesterday. You can even run your own reports. You can do a whole bunch of other stuff here. So it's really cool. I would definitely recommend anybody new in our league or anybody that hasn't really played around with this too much to have a look. Let's take a look at Utah here. Let's see what's going on with his team here. Gary's tops of the league, 6-0. He's got Mr. Jack Eichel leading the way, 92.5 points. Markstrom in New Jersey, that's going to be a big guy to have this year, 85 points. Tyler Toffoli from the Sharks, 77.25 points. He's off to a good start. I mean, Gary's been a top team for the last few years in this league. He's got a very deep team. As you can see, he's got everybody accumulating points for him in his active roster. He's even got Lowry on the bench here. He's only got one injury right now, Tyler Seguin, who is, I think he's day-to-day right now. He's traveling with the team, but who knows when he'll be playing again. So, I mean, he's got a strong team. This is with Matthews not even really playing that well. He's only got 42 points so far, which has been a rough start for him, as everybody here in the the GTA can attest to, with all of the radio and TV guys talking about what's wrong with Matthews. Uh, so we're gonna, you know, I mean, obviously he's gonna have a huge season. Svechnikov's gonna have a big year. He's got a really deep team here, so I'm not too worried about him struggling. Again, it all comes down to injuries sometimes too, right? So, um, you've got myself here off to a decent start. You know, McKinnon obviously is huge for my team. Um, McCann's actually been really, really surprising. I mean, he's a good player, but he's been off to a really hot start so far. Kovacevic has just been on fire. I don't expect this to continue with him, but he's been like one of my best defensemen. And then McDavid's been off to a relatively slow start, by his standards. So we'll see what happens. As you can see, I don't have a whole lot of depth though. So if injuries do accumulate, I've already got two, Lawton and Gibson. If injuries do accumulate, I will be in some trouble. So we'll have to see if I can maybe get some depth during the season to help out. Nashville, Brett. Nashville was the number one team in office pools last year, had a huge season. He got upset in the playoffs on LA's run to the Cup, but his team is pretty stacked here as well. He's got, Scheifele, Bratt. He's got Jack Hughes, who is also off to a slow start. Darlene, he's got a pretty awesome team, and he's got the depth too. He's got four guys on his reserves. Drouin and Kane are going to be out for a little while. Kane's going to be out for a long time. Drouin was just put on the IR, I think, today. Who knows when he'll be back. So, Adam Fox, another guy. Norris is a guy that if he keeps it up, he could have a huge year. Rasmus Anderson in Calgary. So, I mean, he's got some real good players here. Let's just go back to the GFHL standings here. Calgary. I want to talk about Calgary a little bit. Jason and his Flames. Jason made a bunch of moves here in the offseason. His draft was good. He picked up Granlund in the draft somehow. Not too sure how we let him do that, but anyways, he did trade for Stammer. Made the big trade to get Stammer on his team. I think that was the three-way deal that was just a little bit hard to decipher. So I will say, guys, when you're sending in emails to the league office with your roster moves, with your trades, with your signings, please be as specific as possible. Don't just say, I want this guy for this guy, and that's it. Help us out. If you want Bjorkstrand on your reserve for Carlson, please put, forward for forward. Make sure you spell their names right. Make sure you're very clear on what's going on. That is one thing I do ask. I've gone through some of the emails, and some of them are a bit confusing at times. I do my best to, and Ed does his best to get your roster as accurately as you want, but it is tough sometimes to decipher. So again, please include as many details as you can, especially with trades as well. Both GMs have to agree on a trade, and it is tough sometimes. But looking at Jason's team here, the Flames, Alex Tuck's off to a huge start. Teravainen back in Chicago. That'll be interesting to see if he can put up some points this year with Bedard. You get Tage Thompson. If he's healthy, he should have a huge season in Buffalo. Decord's getting some pretty serious playing time with the Kraken there after signing a big deal in the offseason. If Werenski can stay healthy, Hamilton can stay healthy. Again, a lot of it comes down to injuries, but his team should be a top team moving forward. He does have 5 goalies, I believe. Yeah, 5 goalies. So he is pretty set in net. So we'll see if he moves a goalie or two to maybe strengthen another area of his team. Let's go through the top 10 here. You got Utah, Edmonton, Nashville, defending champs, the Kings, Greg and his Islanders, which we will touch on, Calgary, Toronto, Buffalo, Winnipeg, and Pittsburgh. Interesting to see both Winnipeg and Islanders in the top 10 at the moment, after a big trade that they made in the offseason. Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Boston, Columbus, and Philly, and Montreal are all in the top half of the league. Down at the bottom here, we've got the Blues. Mike's Blues are off to a rough start. Bit of a rebuild project, I think, going on there. Dallas, Simon, he is rebuilding as well after all the moves he made in the offseason, offloaded some veterans for some draft picks and youth. You've got Tim's Ducks here, Carolina, San Jose, Franny's Rangers, Colorado. These are all teams that are rebuilding. Um, Rangers here, they're looking way more improved than last year after a strong draft. Franny's got them heading in the right direction, but it's going to be another long year for them. Um, and then you got some of these teams in the middle here. Seattle is a team up and coming. I was talking to Neil in the off season a little bit. We were talking before the season, talking a little trade. Couldn't get anything done at that point, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. But he is a team that he was saying his team's he's thinking that they're on the rise, right? He's just hoping that a few of these guys can get going on his team, and and get some significant playing time. Like Beniers is young. Vetrano, he's a good player when he's healthy. Faber, he was almost rookie of the year last year, so if he has another good year, Eklund, if he takes a step up, Middlestad, if he does the same thing, if Slavkovsky can take a step up, um, so I mean, and Ross Colton here, who he just activated from enforcer to forward. Ross Colton's playing with McKinnon right now, so I mean that's huge. If that can last for quite some time, that'll help out huge. So again, he's a team that waiting for some of his youth to come along from the reserves, and then insert into the lineup and hopefully get some points for him. So you got some of these teams in the middle here. You got to wonder what they're doing, right? Like Detroit, Chicago. Um, you know, Florida's been a team that's rebuilding. They're a team on the rise, but it's going to take some time, right? You got to be patient. I was talking to John about it in the off season as well, and it's tough to be patient. Sometimes you move the wrong guys in trades, and it comes back to bite you. So sometimes patience works out. Marty's Vegas. He always seems to be making moves. We'll see how far he can climb up the standings. I mean, it's only 2 weeks in, guys. We're still really early. But again, just wanted to touch base on what's been happening. So let's, as you guys get a lay of the land here, let's quickly go to the, I don't have it up here, transactions page. GFHL current transactions. We're going to go back to September. Actually, let's see if there's anything in August. Okay, yeah, August was when the draft was. Had some movement here. Yeah, I mean, again, before the draft, you're trying to move some guys for picks, right? So Tyler Seguin and future considerations going from Detroit to Utah for Utah's first round pick. That's a situation where Frank probably couldn't protect Seguin, wanted to get something for him, and that was a deal that came about. Same with me and Bertuzzi. I didn't have any room to protect Bertuzzi in my lineup, so I decided to move him off to Kevin in Toronto for a couple picks. I'm expecting Bertuzzi to have a pretty decent year, but I had no room for him, right? So, same with Zadorov. Zadorov had to get traded for something, so I got something for him. So those are kind of the moves you need to make in the off season sometimes, depending on how many guys you are protecting and who you've got on your team, right? So, Nothing huge here. I mean, Atkinson and Suter for Myers, not a huge trade there. I mean, that's a veteran trade. Casey DeSmith, Akira Schmid, and a second rounder for Drew Comesso. A bunch of goalies get traded, so we'll see how that works out. Um, Linus Allmark and Yamamoto for Nuge. I mean, that was. Excuse me, I do have to, a little parched here. I gotta get some drink into me. This video is sponsored by Alexander Keith tonight. Linus Allmark and Yamamoto going for Nugent Hopkins. So I mean, like, that's a pretty big trade. Um, Nugent Hopkins going to Pittsburgh, uh, solidifying the forward core. Giving up Allmark though, that is a pretty big move. I mean, Allmark's going to be a number one goalie in Ottawa. He's going to get probably 50 plus starts. Goalies are huge in this league, so that's a good move for Buffalo. I think getting Allmark in there, especially since he only has he's got Jake Allen. He's going to probably get about 30 starts with the Devils. And then he doesn't really have a number three goalie. He's got Harabel here, the prospect goalie, who he's a few years away still. So he's shored up his goaltending with Allmark and Allen. It's a decent combo, and he's still got he's still got the forward crew here to do okay without Nugent Hopkins, right? Nugent Hopkins comes over here to Pittsburgh, and that Pittsburgh's got a strong forward core as well, led by Draisaitl, Malkin, Larkin, Point. It's pretty strong. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm assuming he's hoping Casey DeSmith gets some starts here to help out Connor Hellebuck. He doesn't really have a third goalie, so that's a big move. That's a move where you don't know whether it's going to work out or not. You're taking a chance, trying to strengthen one area, but you're weakening yourself in another area. So, and we'll see how that one works out. Um, what else we got here? Yeah, so this trade here, Dawson Mercer and a second round pick, going to Talon in Vancouver for Kulich and a first. I like Mercer. I'm a Devils fan. This was a tough deal for me to make. I was expecting to keep Mercer, to be honest. He had a down year last year. I thought, he's got his new contract this year. I thought he would have a rebound year, especially with Sheldon Keefe now coaching there. I thought Mercer would be good for about anywhere between, 45 to 60 points, possibly, 20, 25 goals. And he still could. I mean, it's really early in the season. It's only 2 weeks in. But I like getting Kulich. I had him before. I think I signed him, and then I traded him away. A year or two ago, and was able to get him back. And getting the Chicago first rounder was helpful too. I mean, Chicago's a team that's kind of in flux. I know Fiddy's been making some moves to try to stay competitive, but age is catching up to some of these teams. I don't know how good this pick's going to be. The Chicago first round pick, no idea. It could be it could be top 10. It could be top 20. I really don't know. And getting Kulich, I'm hoping he busts out in Buffalo this year. He's off to a slow start. We'll see if he can stay with the team. But right now, I mean, Vancouver's got the better player in Mercer, and also gets a second round pick back. So all in all, I think it accomplished what both of us wanted to do. Talon wanted an NHL guy that was going to put up some points, and Mercer's still really young. And then I wanted to get a decent prospect back and a first. So that accomplished what we wanted to do. Pittsburgh, Winnipeg, Connor Geekie and a second round pick for Thomas Chabot. So Chabot's been one of those guys that, if you look at his stats here, Chabot's a guy that he should be better, right? Like, you're looking at his stats. And like I was expecting him to make this big jump, after 55 points in 2018, 2019. Look at the minus though. Like you got to wonder, is it him? Is he the reason? Like is he that bad defensively, or is just, is it a product of Ottawa's system? The guy can put up points. I mean, 31 points in 49 games, 38 and 59. So, 41 points in 68 games. The problem is he's never healthy too. So you got to take that into consideration. He's going to get hurt at some point. I don't know. I always thought he was going to be like a number one defenseman with Ottawa. I don't think he's there. I think he's more of a 2 or a 3. But again, you're making that move. You're giving up a prospect in Connor Geekie and a second round pick. So you're solidifying. You're helping out your D. Also giving up some talent. So I mean that could be a trade that works out for both teams. Geekie's really interesting. He's a high volume scorer. Yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Lindholm for Konechny, 1-for-1. I mean that's a pretty even trade. Lindholm's a great player, underrated, even though he does get some attention, but I think he's way better than what people give him credit for. And same with Konechny. I think Konechny's the same. So if you're swapping out forwards there, that's pretty even. I'm trying to go for these big ones. Okay, so here's the big one: Stamkos and Seth Jones and a second rounder go from Dallas to Calgary for Connolly, Molendyke, Kemmel, and a first. So obviously teams going in different directions. We talked about Jason and his Flames are loading up on veterans here, gunning for a cup run, giving up some youth here. Connolly, Molendyke, and Kemmel, all young guys, and a first going to Dallas. So that's a typical trade you'll see in this league. Rebuilding teams, moving guys for prospects and picks. Stamkos hasn't really done much with Nashville. Nashville's off to a rough start this year, 0-5. It's going to take them some time. They got a bunch of new guys on the team trying to mesh. It's going to take them some time to get going. I think at the end of the season they'll be okay, but right now they're just trying to figure stuff out. Hunter Brustowitz in a first round pick going from Nashville to Tampa for Josh Norris and Jonathan Drouin. So this is a huge swing by Nashville to try to strengthen the forward core. Norris, very injury prone over the last few seasons. Honestly, a great player when he's healthy. He's off to a fast start this year. I hope he can stay healthy. Hope for Ottawa's sake he can stay healthy. I hope for Nashville's sake he can stay healthy. Drouin, another guy. I mean, he seemed to resurrect his career there last year in Colorado. Now he's hurt. We'll see what happens. Not a good start for him. But you're giving up. I mean, you're giving up Brustowitz, who is a top prospect D, had a great season in the OHL with Kitchener. Just outstanding season. Scouts are raving about this guy. I've read some glowing scouting reports on this guy. Going to Tampa plus a first round pick, so you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot back for what you're giving up, and we'll see what happens there. That could be a trade that works out for both teams, but right now, short term, obviously Nashville wins that one. We'll see what happens with Norris and Drouin. Me personally, I'm sorry, Brett, you're one of my main rivals and competitors. If I see Norris and Drouin not doing that great, probably not going to lose any sleep over it. But yeah, at the end of the day, you always want to see these guys do well. Islanders and Winnipeg with possibly the biggest trade of the offseason. This one caught me by surprise. Laurent Brossoit, Keandre Miller, and New York Islanders first round pick going to Winnipeg for Andrei Vasilevsky. So I'll be honest, when Kyle said that Vasilevsky was available. I didn't think he was going to get moved that quickly. I thought that, he would entertain some offers and then decide from there what he wanted to do. I didn't think Vasilevsky was actually going to move. This trade definitely took me by surprise. Be nice to hear Kyle's thoughts on this one. Greg giving up quite a bit, and I noticed an error. That should be a D instead of a forward. Keandre Miller's a defenseman. Anyway, not a big deal. Greg's given up a lot here, but at the end of the day, Vasilevsky's probably one of the best goalies in the league, and he's probably one of the best point getters in the league. So to give up that for Vasilevsky, Islanders are probably winning this trade. Having said that, it really depends again on what they get with this first round pick. If Miller, can keep doing what he's doing, he's a damn good defenseman. And then if Brossoit can help get some starts to help weather that, so to help make up for Vasilevsky starts. If that happens, then the trade will be okay. Right now, it's tough. That's tough. It's I don't know if you're ever going to get full value giving up Vasilevsky. That's got to be a tough move to make. And we'll see what happens with it. Just want to quickly go over some of the other moves. There wasn't any real major trades after that. So we'll go to September. In September, we've got Jack Quinn going from Toronto to Boston. And, I like to see this trade. I liked the timing of it because of what happened with Johnny Gaudreau. And that is such a sad situation with Gaudreau for everybody involved, his family, Columbus, everybody, right? So that's just unreal. So it was nice that Boston was able to pick up a young guy in Jack Quinn to hopefully make up for the loss of Gaudreau. Cost him a little bit, cost him a second and a first, but he made up for it. He got a productive player. Hopefully Quinn can really break out with the Sabres and become a top forward. I think he's got that chance to do that. So we'll see what happens with that one. Lucas Reichel, Oliver Bonk, Luca Cagnoni, and a second round pick going from the Leafs to the Blues for Adrian Kempe. Kempe obviously top forward with the Kings in the NHL, going to Toronto for a package of youth. Reichel, we'll see what happens with him. We'll see if the book's out on him or not, if he can turn into a decent forward. Right now he's struggled. AHL he's been good. NHL he's struggled. Sorry, all this talking guys making me parched here. Oliver Bonk, top defenseman with the London Knights of the OHL. We'll see how much offensive prowess he has. Luca Cagnoni, a defenseman from the WHL. Heard some pretty good stuff about him, so he could be a good fit with the Blues there moving forward. Like I said earlier, I think Mike's rebuilding, so he's looking to maybe move some guys out for some picks and younger guys. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, those are three promising guys and a second rounder for Kempe. So, I mean, if it works out, he's got 3-4 assets that for one guy, which could really work out depending on how he uses them, right? So we'll see what happens there. I mean, obviously, Adrian Kempe is a huge addition to the Leafs, who just made another big trade today, which we will get into. I mean, I made a small move here, Otto Stenberg and futures for Philip Tomasino. I'm hoping Tomasino can get some action with Nashville again this year. The book's out on him, whether he's going to be a productive guy or not. He did put up some points last year. I think he can be productive, given the right line mates, right situation. So we'll see what happens with him. He is still young. He's still got some time to figure it out. Stenberg probably won't be in the NHL for another couple of years. And I think the futures was a third round pick. So, I mean, not much given up right now. short term anyway, for Tomasino. I just needed an NHL forward to try to fill a hole there. Stanislav Svozil. That was a guy I was looking at the draft. Didn't end up drafting him. And I see he got released anyway, so I think he's still out there. There's my signing of Kovacevic, which has been pretty good, considering Sean Barons is out for the season. I think he got an ACL or a knee injury or something in the AHL there, so he is out for the year, unfortunately. Um, oh, that's not from this. That is from last year. Okay. Um, hmm. Here we are. This is the latest transactions from October. As you can see, a bunch of movement here. I'm not going to go into every single guy. I am going to touch on the trades. Kings and Tampa made a trade. Little surprising trade here. I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Igor Chinikov, and Jake Bean, the Beanstalk, going from LA to Tampa for Seamus Casey and Igor Chernyshov. Casey obviously off to a hot start with the Devils. They actually just sent him down, I believe, today to the AHL. But he looks really good. He is a guy that I had on my team. I ended up dropping him, or ended up trading him last year in a deal, I think to get Mercer actually. And kind of wish I had kept him. I didn't think he'd be in the NHL this quick. I thought he might take another year of college or some AHL time. Like I said, the Devils did send him down today, so I'm sure that he will get some AHL seasoning. He was a training camp sensation with the Devils. He looked amazing. They're just really deep on the blue line right now. Igor Chernyshov, second round pick from the Sharks this year. Good looking Russian prospect. Both those guys heading to the Kings, the defending champs. Chinikov, productive forward, going to Tampa, and Jake Bean, who, Bean's always one of those guys that really, I don't know, he didn't really pan out to what he was supposed to be. But the main guys in this deal are Chinikov and Casey. Forward for D. Talked to Brent briefly about it after the trade. He said he needed to shore up his forwards, and Tom said the same thing. Talked to him a little bit about Casey, and he said he wanted to add a younger defenseman to his team. So I mean, it's a deal that works out for both sides. You got one forward on each side going, one D on each side going. But again, these are the two guys. Chinikov and Casey are the real keys. Chernyshov, I mean, I've heard some good things about him. Again, he was a guy that I looked at drafting in the summer. He got snapped up by the Sharks. Pretty good looking prospect. We'll see what he does in the next couple of years moving forward. I picked up a prospect goalie here that I like, Hampton Slakinski out of Western Michigan. I've heard some good things about him. We'll see what happens. He's a prospect goalie. You never know. The big trade so far this season. We're 2 weeks in. Like I said earlier, Tim's the new guy in Anaheim. Makes his first trade, which was auto reviewed by the trade committee today. Ultimately, was passed. Luke Evangelista, Henry Thrun, Zane Parekh, Philly 2025 first, Washington 2025 second, going from Toronto to Anaheim for Owen Power, Simon Nemec, and Dennis Hildeby. So, interesting trade considering Power, Nemec, and Hildeby are all younger guys, and Anaheim's a young team. So you would think that, maybe a couple of these guys would be building blocks for Anaheim moving forward. But Tim puts his stamp on the deal, sending Power and Nemec and Hildeby to Toronto. Obviously, another move for the Leafs to try to get some NHL players in the lineup to compete with some of the top teams in the GFHL. The Leafs have obviously been kind of, I wouldn't say rebuilding, I would say retooling over the last couple of years. I don't think Kevin really rebuilds fully. It's more of a retool. But getting Power and Nemec to anchor the blue line is huge. There could be some questions about how good offensively both of these guys are. Um, but when you look at it, I mean, I think both of them have um, offensive prowess. We'll start with Power here. No, I was talking to Tim a bit about Power there the other day. Um, so far in two full seasons, he's put up 35 and 33 points. The goals haven't really come. He's more of a two-way guy. I mean, he's 6'6", 226. He's a two-way defenseman. Uh, Honestly, how many points is he going to put up? I don't know. He might tap out at 40, 50, which is fine. I mean, 40, 50 points is great for a defenseman. But for a number one overall pick, you're kind of hoping maybe he could hit 60, 70 as a defenseman. And it's certainly possible. I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying right now it looks like he may be a 40, 50 point guy. He's still only 21. So you're looking at it from 2 points of view. Tim is probably looking at it saying, okay, well, he's only got a ceiling of probably 40, 45 points, 50 points. Maybe I'll cash in on him right now, see what I can get for him, and then go from there. Uh, Kevin's obviously thinking, okay, well, he's got more offensive tools in the box. Maybe he does hit 60 points in his prime, a couple of years. Maybe he's a 50 to 60 point guy in his prime. So we'll see. I mean, this is a very interesting deal. We look at Nemec. Now, I'm very familiar with Nemec, I'm a Devils fan, in case you guys did not know. So I do follow the Devils quite a bit. So again, Nemec was the number 2 overall pick in the 2022 entry draft behind Slavkovsky. Not the strongest of drafts, but this guy here, again, not a huge point producer yet. Will he be a huge point producer? I don't think so. I think he's going to be a 30 to 40 point guy in his prime. Solid two-way defenseman though. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be with Jersey for a while. Throws the body. He's a young guy. He's only 20, so again, he's not even close to being in his prime. He's only played 68 games in the league. But right now, even with New Jersey, you've got Luke Hughes there, you've got Hamilton, you've got Casey. All these guys can put the puck in the net. You don't really need Nemec to do that, right? He's more of a two-way guy. He's going to be defensively sound. He already is defensively sound. This guy, I've watched him in the World Juniors. I've watched him in the AHL and with Clips. I've watched him in all the major tournaments. I think he played in the World Championships too. Watched him there. Just a solid defenseman in his own zone. Not flashy by any stretch, but he can play on the power play if you need him to. He put up 5 points in 5 games at the World Juniors last year, or in 2023, I should say. So, he does have some offensive instincts. Is he going to be a 60-point guy? No. He's probably going to be, again, like a 30, 40-point guy, which is fine, when everything's said and done. And Hildeby is another guy that the Leafs have been really high on. We'll see how many games he gets. I mean, you got Wall and Stolars there. Hildeby is your number 3. We might see a few games here because of injuries, but again, a guy that maybe Kevin can move or Kevin can keep as a possible guy to fill a goalie spot. But going the other way, he's given up a lot here too. Evangelista is a really good looking forward. Thrun, nah, I don't know about him. We'll see. He's struggled so far in his brief time in the league. Zane Parekh is offensive wizard in the OHL right now, just lighting it up. And then he gets 2 picks out of it too. So you've got let's go check out Evangelista. I know he's been productive with Nashville. I think we were talking about earlier. Nashville's got a bunch of new guys on the team. It's going to take them a little while to gel. But he's already got 56 points, 109 games. He's only 22, so he's a guy that's he's going to put up his points. If he's a top 6 guy, playing with Marcia, so playing with Stammer, he's going to get his points. He's playing some power play. I'm not too worried about him. So that could be he's going to be a good forward for Tim moving forward. Thrun. This is the guy I wanted to look at. I've looked at him many times. Thrun. Just because, his name's weird. Henry Thrun. Been following this guy for a while. I followed him a bit in the when he was with the national under-18 team. Played with Harvard for 3 years. A productive guy in the NCAA. He's on the Sharks. It's tough to evaluate guys on the Sharks. They're pretty bad. Right now he's played 6 games this year. He's got nothing to show for. He's -5. Even in the AHL last year, -9 in 18 games. Like, how good defensively is this guy? Is he any good defensively? That's the question you got to ask yourself. I know plus minus isn't the be all and end all of it, but you got to evaluate that. Again, it's tough. The Sharks are terrible. They're going to have a bunch of guys in minus. They're getting better, but it's going to take a couple years for them to really make some strides here. So Thrun, I don't know. He could turn out to be a decent defenseman. He could turn out to be a dud. Who knows? But then Parek's the main prize. Him and Evangelista are the main prize, and the Philly first, obviously. The 3 main assets to this one. Zane Parekh here with, I believe it's Saginaw of the OHL. Yeah, Saginaw Spirit. The guy is a goal scorer. Now you look at these stats and you think to yourself, okay, this guy must be a forward, right? First year in the league, he puts up 21 goals, 16 assists, 37 points. Puts up another 9 points in the playoffs, 6 goals, 3 assists. No, he's a defenseman. He's 18 years old. Obviously a top 10 pick in the NHL entry draft. Already got 9 points in 8 games this year with Saginaw on a pretty good Saginaw team last year anyway. We'll see how they do this year. Flames obviously really high on him. He could be a guy that comes to the NHL and scores 20, 25 goals like that. He's that good. Will he? I don't know. It's tough for a defenseman to score 20, 25 goals, but he's got that kind of offensive prowess. The only downside with him is his defense. Can he play good enough defense to do that in the NHL? I don't know. So again, you're giving up 2 good assets here for 3, potentially 4 or 5 good assets. Hildeby, I don't know how good he's going to be. He could be a backup in the league in a couple years. He could be a 1B, probably his highest potential. I don't think he's a number 1, but he's still, you never know with goalies, right? Depending on their situation, depending on what kind of playing time they get. But yeah, this is an interesting deal this early in the season, especially when you look at Anaheim's team and you look at who he's got. He's got Bedard, he's got Celebrini, he's got Doc, Doc's off to a terrible start, but he's got Luchenko, he's got Raymond. So now you start looking at it, okay, maybe he could have built around Power and Nemec, but you still got, Parekh. The defense needs some work. There's no argument there. The defense needs some work, especially now that he's given up Power and Nemec. But he's in for the long haul, right? Tim's a guy that showed up to the league. He took over the Ducks, trying to get them some stability. He's going to build slow. He's got some assets here that he might want to start looking at moving. He's going to be a busy GM over the next couple of years. He's got some decisions to make, who to keep, who to move. some big time decisions. Obviously, you expect him to build around Bedard and Celebrini, and possibly Raymond. Um, but we'll see what happens. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the trade front so far. I know there's gonna be more moves made, obviously, during the season. Um, you know, it's gonna be one of those seasons where I think it's gonna be pretty tight near the top here. I don't think there's gonna be one team that really outpaces everybody. I think there's gonna be about six, seven, eight teams that are fighting for each other for it. Um, you know, so I do want to. The other thing I do want to do is I'm not. I mean, we can go through the draft picks a little bit. I mean, obviously Toronto's got a bunch of draft picks like usual. Calgary's got a few here. And Tim just picked up that Philly first, so he's got two for this year. Vancouver Talon, he's been rebuilding with picks. He's got a bunch in 2025. You got Tampa with three first rounders. You got Franny, the Rangers, with three first rounders. Um, you know, so I do, looking at it from the draft picks here, I do want to go over the draft a little bit. I thought the Rangers had a really good draft. I don't have the draft up here. I don't know why, but we will go over the draft quickly, and then I'll go through office pools here and show you guys what some of the stuff you can do in case you don't know. We'll give you a little tutorial here. I'm not saying I know everything about it, but there might be something that I show you that you might not know. Um, you know, Getting Demidov second overall from the Rangers, that's huge. He could be a franchise player with the Habs. A couple years away still, but I think he's going to be a big time player. Then he comes back and he picks up Urov from Colorado. Heard great things about Urov. I believe he's a wild prospect. Um, he could get some playing time there with Kaprizov down the road. We'll see what happens there. Then he picks up Fedotov. So he's got the Russian Red Army coming to the Rangers here. We'll just start calling him Franislav Talbotov, I guess. But yeah, he's got Fedotov coming as well. So I don't know how good Fedotov's going to be. His stats aren't that great. He could be overhyped, but he's a guy that's going to give the Rangers some starts in net, and he's a guy that could pan out. You never know what's going on in Philly, right? They're trying to figure out their goalie situation. They've got some good-looking young goalies there. We'll see. Then he goes in the second round. He gets Gabriel Landeskog. If Landeskog comes back healthy, that could be huge. Picks up enforcer Matt Rempe in the draft. And then he adds Alexei Protas at the end, 62nd overall from the Red Wings. So yeah, I think he traded away Ofco, so that wasn't actually his pick. But yeah, he added some pretty solid players in the draft. I thought he had a really good draft, so I just wanted to point that out. I thought a lot of guys had really good drafts here. Obviously Toronto loaded up with his first rounders. He picked up some key prospects. Obviously, I thought Anaheim. Well, obviously Anaheim. We were just picking the best prospect at the time, but getting Celebrini obviously was huge. Who else sticks out here? Trevor Connolly, interesting player, bit of a hothead. He got into a bit of a trouble with the one of the international tournaments this year. Really highly skilled player though. If he could keep his head on straight, I think he'll be good. Liam Greentree right now, I just checked it today, in the OHL, killing it with Windsor. I don't know if Ed's been able to go watch him. I'm not too sure if you guys know. Ed lives in Windsor. But Liam Greentree is killing it with the Spitfires right now. What else we got here? Nabokov going to Columbus. I liked Nabokov a lot. I was hoping he would slide. I didn't have a chance to pick him. I was all the way down at 55th overall. I think it was my first pick. So there's no way Nabokov was getting to me, but I was kind of hoping he'd slide to the second round. Maybe give me a little bit of a chance, but no, I guess he got snapped up pretty quick. Um, so yeah, I thought a lot of guys. I mean, Vancouver, I thought Talon did well too. He's got Dickinson. He picked up Iserman. I mean, Iserman could be the wild card of this whole draft. I mean, if the guy's a sniper, I mean, he could be a 50-goal player in this league, in the NHL, or he could be a bust, or he could maybe only be like a 20-goal guy. You never know. But if he can sort out his defensive game, I think he'll pan out pretty well. Obviously, getting Iginla, Colorado, Shannon getting Iginla, that's huge. He's going to be a big time player. So a lot of good picks were made here. Um, Nothing really stands out as being like a what's going on here kind of pick. I don't honestly don't know a lot about Jekko. I haven't really looked at him too much. I'll be honest there. So we'll see what happens with him. Jenko had a great training camp. He he made the Flyers out of training camp, and we'll see what happens here moving forward. Here's Chinnikov getting picked up. That was a big pick there in the second round. Um, Cole Hudson. I mean, I ended up with Cole Hudson. I like Cole Hudson. Lane Hudson obviously is a fantastic defenseman. Rookie this year with the Habs. Cole's his younger brother. Looks just as good as Lane. Might not be as good defensively, but they do say he's a bit better in his own zone. But we'll see. I mean, he's still so young. Well, he's got to play in the World Juniors still, and he's got probably a year or two of college after this year. So we'll see what happens there. It's kind of a future pick. This is one of the guys I'm really really excited about getting him off of Mike and the Blues there. Zachary Leroux, I believe Nashville just called him up this year, this called him up today, so he'll be in Nashville's lineup for their game, I believe, tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to catching hopefully some of that and seeing him play. Um, yeah, so what I want to do, guys, is instead of going through each team and going through some of their players, I mean, you guys can peruse the rosters as you will, and maybe the more videos we do, maybe we can get more in depth with some of these teams. If you guys have any requests you want me to try to cover, then maybe I can go through your team, talk about some of the players you have, go through some of the stats. But I did want to touch base. The last thing I want to do here is I want to touch base on the office pools. So obviously you've got some tabs here. You got standings, reports, trades, pool details, resources. So let's go to the reports here. We can do reports, and you can pick any kind of report you want. Drop down here. You can pick up if you wanted to search for the top 500 guys, forwards in the league who are already on teams. You can do that, or you can search for the top 500 defensemen. What I like to do is I like to maybe go top 300, and I like to use this to search for free agents. It's a little easier to search for free agents with this than it is trying to go through all of the rosters, um, or going through that database. Now, the database is a good resource. Ed and I, and Paul as well, in the past, and Paul's helped us out this year for sure as well. With him moving from commissioner to just a regular GM, he's been helping us out big time. But we do try to keep this updated as best as possible. We have asked for Greg's help in keeping this updated as best we can. So if you guys do see any issues, please let us know. If some of the links don't work, or if they link to a different player, which happens from time to time, or if you see a guy who's on a different team that shouldn't be on that team, please let us know. You guys are pretty good about doing that, and I do appreciate that. So you can check out the database, and you can also, the best thing to do if you're checking out players quick is just do, if you're on the rosters page, just do a Control F search, right? Brings up a little search box here. and then you can search for whoever you want, right? Um, let's try to search for a guy here. We'll just say Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon. Okay, so you start typing his name, and then there you go. You got you got this pops up here. You got Nathans everywhere. Nathan McKinnon, easy to find, right? Okay. But for a lesser known guy, you might not be on a roster. Okay, so you search rosters west, you go Control F. Don't find them, go rosters east. Same thing, Control F. Brings up your search box, type the guy's name in, say he's not on a roster. Okay. Then I go to the database. Okay, look him up. Okay, he's not on the database, not on a roster. Okay, chances are he's free agent, right? Or the other thing you can do is you can go to Office Pools and do a quick search. Type in what you want. Say you want to search forwards defense. You want to search everybody by pool scoring. You can do it by pool scoring. You can do it by enforcer, NHL scoring. So we'll do pool scoring, and say I want to group it by position. I want to report on just forwards and defense. Okay, and I want to exclude drafted. Okay, so I'm searching for free agents, right? I want to exclude drafted. That'll give me a list of all the guys that aren't drafted onto a team. So I go hit go. And now I've got a list of all the guys who are currently not on a GFHL roster. I've got it sorted by forwards. I've got it sorted by defense. Pretty easy to find, right? Pretty easy. I mean, it's not rocket science here, but this is something that helps me out. So then, I might want to search by PIMS. Okay, I want to see who's got the most PIMS out of if I'm searching for an enforcer, I might want to search for a guy who's got the most PIMS here, who's not currently on a team. AJ Greer, Adam Edstrom, Pat Maroon. There you go. Zach McEwen, Brandon Duhaime. All these guys could be possible pickups. If I want to search by hits, pretty easy to do, right? So, I mean, I'm sure most of you guys know this stuff. I'm sure I'm just going over some of the stuff you guys do. But again, you don't know. I don't know what you guys know, and so I'm just trying to show you some stuff here. Points per game, search by points per game, and then previous year's totals. So if I want to see a guy from last year and see what he did, okay, Sam Carrick is the best on this list at 395 points last year. He's only got 23 this year. Okay, so maybe a guy to keep my eye on. So again, you do that with defense. Same thing. I want to go PIMS, or I want to go assists, or goals, or anything, right? Total points. So yeah, it's a decent resource. I use this resource as well as the database, as well as the Control F feature for the roster. So just something for you guys to try out yourself. Again, you can run all sorts of reports off here. I don't even know, like some of these reports I've never really done. If you want graphs, I'm sure you can get graphs out of it. You can do whatever your heart desires here with some of this stuff. So it is pretty cool. So that's kind of it for this video. I know it probably went on a little longer than I wanted it to. But again, this is the first video of many that I'm hoping to do. I'm hoping that we can maybe talk about some of these trades, talk about some of these players, like, okay, here's a guy that just got signed today, Oscar Jelvik. Let's go check him out. Oscar, so I added him to the database today, Oscar Jelvik. And again, if any of these links don't work, let me know. We'll get it fixed for you guys. So he's playing with Boston College. Boston College is a stacked team this year, as usual. He's third year at Boston College. He's a Boston Bruins pick, 5th round. Okay, there we go. Now I know a little bit more about Oscar Jelvik. So it's one of those things where we're hoping this videos give you a little bit of an insight into the league, some of the league happenings. We can talk about trades. We can talk about we can go in depth in some rosters. We can talk about the playoff races. We can talk about, anything you guys want, right? We've got a long season ahead of us here. I think we're in week 3. We just started week 3. We've got 21 weeks of action, and then we've got the playoffs here. So this week, who am I playing? I am playing Utah. Ooh, that's going to be a big match. All right. So Edmonton, Utah. We go look at the standings here. And, Utah obviously 6-0. I got my work ahead of me, but I just got team of the week. So we'll see. 6-0 against 4-2. So, this will be a big week. Good luck, Gary. But that's it for me right now, guys. Just wanted to talk about some of this stuff. If you guys have anything you guys want me to talk about, touch on, send me a message. Put a Facebook post together. Anything that you guys want to talk about, let me know, and I'll try to get it on here for sure. All right, that's all for tonight, folks. Everything has been updated, like I said, so the website should be up to date as of today's transactions and roster moves. And good luck for the next couple weeks, guys. And I'll try to put up another video in a reasonable time frame. All right, take it easy.